Hello friends and welcome back to my channel, Insights with Samarth. So in the last few days, a lot of you have reached out to me on LinkedIn asking me about the services that I provide. So I thought, why not do a video about it? So in this video, I'm going to cover all the aspects of job search coaching and consultancy that I provide. It's going to be a bit long, so hang tight. I generally conduct about 7 to 8 sessions of about 1.5 to 2 hours each using either Microsoft Teams or Zoom. In these sessions, I'll be covering all the essential elements of job search, right from resume preparation, cover letter preparation, LinkedIn optimization, networking strategies. Along with that, towards the end of my sessions, I would be covering all the essential elements of interview preparation. So let's get down to it. In the first session, I would be covering the resume preparation aspect. Now, unlike India or other parts of the world, wherein you apply on a job portal and that resume lands on the desk of the HR, in Canada, your resume goes into a system called as the Application Tracking System or the ATS. ATS would then do a keyword match of all the resumes that have been fed into the system and would shortlist only about top 10 or 20 resumes which have a high keyword match percentage. And a few of those 20 resumes would get a call from the HR. Therefore, it becomes imperative that your resume is always at the top of the pile. Now, there are so many jobs out there and you can't possibly apply to each of those jobs. Therefore, it becomes important to apply to those jobs which have a higher chance of conversion compared to others or have a higher chance of selection compared to others. So how do you decide which jobs to apply for? So in the first session, I will be talking about the resume formats, the ATS compliant fonts, which jobs you need to apply to which have a higher chance of selection, how do you filter out those jobs, and finally I would be covering how to ensure that your resume is at the top of the pile and is amongst those top 20 resumes. The second session would be on cover letter preparation. Cover letters serve as a supplement to your resume. While your resume talks about your skills and qualifications that makes you a good fit for the job, your cover letter talks about the passion that you have either for that role or for that organization. Now consider this. Say you apply for a job at a big organization, let's take for example Royal Bank of Canada or TD Bank for that matter, and say your resume is amongst the top 20 resumes. There would be only 4 or 5 people who have applied to those jobs with a cover letter. The HR would then read your resume along with your cover letter and would subconsciously rate you higher than the other 19 applicants, and that's just because the passion that you have for that job would get reflected in that cover letter. Also, sometimes the HR would send your resume and your cover letter to the hiring manager, and even in such a scenario, having an impressive or a well-crafted cover letter would increase your chances of getting that interview call and would make for a very good first impression. This would ensure that you get a leg up in the process. The third and the fourth session would be on LinkedIn optimization and networking strategies. Now, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. It not only serves as a job search portal but also gives you an opportunity to network with a lot of people. Once you apply for a job and you have submitted your resume, the next step is to go on to LinkedIn and reach out to the relevant people for that position. This would ensure that you get to know the technical details of that position, and this would also allow you to build a network which you can then leverage for future applications. And if you follow my strategies, more often than not, you would be in a position wherein the person with whom you are networking would be more than happy to refer you for a role. A lot of people reach out to me on LinkedIn, either asking for a referral or directly asking for a job. And if that is your strategy for networking, you are more than likely to be disappointed. Networking is about giving more than you receive and is about not being transactional. Initially, you have to invest in that network, you have to invest in that relationship so that later on you can leverage it to help you in your job search process. Now in this session, I would be covering all the strategies to optimize your LinkedIn profile so that your LinkedIn profile becomes more visible to recruiters. I will also be teaching all my clients on how to network, how to reach out to people, how to network with them, what are the finer aspects to be kept in mind when you are talking to people, and most importantly, how do you get that referral so that you are one step closer to getting your dream job. The next 3 sessions would be on interview preparation. Now, the interview processes in Canada are very different from the way interviews are conducted in other parts of the world. Generally, there would be about 3 rounds of interviews for any job that you apply to. First would be a 20-minute interview with the HR. This would typically be conducted over telephone. The next round would be with the hiring manager. This would generally be a 1 hour long interview which would most likely be conducted over a video conference platform such as Microsoft Teams or Zoom. And then finally, you would have an interview with the hiring manager's manager. This would again be anywhere from half an hour to about 45 minutes long. The strategy for each of these interviews would be different, and you would have to customize your narrative to showcase the best aspects of yourself to the interviewer. Typically, the HR would ask you for a brief introduction of yourself and then follow it up with a few behavioral questions like how do you remain focused at work, how do you remain organized at work, why do you want to join the firm, or the HR can even ask you what are your experiences dealing with conflicts. Now there is a certain strategy to answering these questions. Most of the behavioral questions have to be answered using the STAR approach. STAR stands for situation, task, actions and results. And as you would have guessed by now, I would be covering all these aspects including the STAR approach in my sessions. The next round would be with the hiring manager. And in this round, you would be asked questions about your experiences, your projects, along with some behavioral questions as well. Now the biggest mistake that people make is that they have the same introduction for all the rounds of the interviews. And this is a short way to get rejected in the interviews. Your introduction must showcase the finer aspects about yourself to the hiring manager. There has to be a greater focus on the problems that you've been able to solve and the results that you've been able to achieve to convince the hiring manager that you are the best candidate for this job. The final round of interview would typically be with the hiring manager's manager. And in this interview, the focus has to be more on your leadership experience, your communication ability, and your business partnering experiences, so that you come across not only as a cultural fit and a good candidate, but also as a cultural add and an ideal candidate. Now just to give you some perspective, to get hired for my current role, I had given 8 rounds of interviews. These interviews were with the HR, the hiring manager's manager, business partner, and other stakeholders. And as you would have guessed by now, my strategy for each of these interviews was very different. So the one size fits all approach would not take you very far in your job search process. Now I would be covering all these strategies, all the tips and tricks to help you succeed in your job search journey in these sessions. Once all these sessions are over, I would also be conducting a few mock interviews so that you are able to ace any interview that comes your way and you are one step closer to getting that dream job. The final session in my coaching classes, I would be covering all the finer aspects of your interview preparation, such as salary expectations. Now keep in mind, salaries in Canada are not only paid according to the skills and qualifications of an individual, but also according to the industry in which you are applying. A lot of people feel that answering the salary question by saying that they're expecting a salary as per industry standards, or by asking the interviewer for a salary range and then quoting a value within that range would get them hired. And I'm here to say this to you, it will not get you hired. Rather, it is a good way of getting rejected in the interview process. Now why would you get rejected? Because you will come across as a candidate who has not done his research, who is not aware of the industry benchmarks, and who has no idea about what to quote for the role for which he is applying. Irrespective of the role and the industry for which you are applying, there is a way you can figure out what the ideal range for your industry and your role would be. And so you can quote that range in the interviews to get the offer letter. As you would have guessed by now, I would be covering all these aspects in my job search consulting and coaching sessions. Now most of the people who reach out to me have been looking for a job for the last 6 months. They've been applying for jobs for the last 6 or 7 months and haven't been able to land any interviews. So their morale is understandably low. After following my strategies, my clients begin to see a lot of traction from the employers and the recruiters. Now they haven't been giving interviews for the last 6-7 months. Their morale is obviously low. So I tell them this, whenever you get that interview call, do not give the interview without discussing with me first. In that discussion, I would be looking at the job description as well as the resume of my client, and based on that, we would be devising strategies on how to ace that interview. And if they move on to the next round, again I would be having a session with them to coach them on specific strategies to clear that round. And the cycle will continue till the time you get the offer letter. Once you do get the offer letter, I would be helping you with salary negotiations as well for no additional charge. Using my tried and tested techniques, A lot of my clients tend to get the offer letter within 45 days. However, I'm not making any guarantees, but that is the trend which I have seen with most of my clients. I have worked with clients from a diverse range of industries, and most of my clients have been able to land jobs in banking, accounting, finance, IT, graphic designing, and human resources, to name a few. If you want to know more about my job coaching and consultancy services, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, link in the description box below, and follow my LinkedIn hashtag Insights with Samarth. If you feel that you need help only with certain aspects of job search, like interview preparation, resume and cover letter preparation, or LinkedIn optimization, I can customize my services for you, and we can talk more about it when you reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you have liked today's video, then I would request you to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, Insights with Samarth. Thank you and have an awesome day.